If you're watching this right now, you've felt something most folks write off as pure coincidence. Those moments when your thoughts literally showed up in your real world, when things lined up perfectly just when you needed them most, when reality shifted in ways that seemed downright magical. What you're about to discover is the quantum principle that explains exactly why this happens and how you can make it happen on command. The secret I'm about to reveal has been hiding in physics laboratories for over a century, yet somehow never connected to conscious creation. It's a principle so profound that once you understand it, you'll never look at manifestation the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your current reality exists and how to shift into any reality you choose. But here's the twist that changes everything. You are not separate from what you're trying to manifest. Marcus was a talented artist whose paintings collected dust in his Brooklyn studio while he barely scraped together rent money each month. He tried every manifestation technique in the book: visualization, affirmations, vision boards, you name it. Nothing worked. Then he stumbled across something that physicists have known since 1801, but spiritual gurus rarely mention. Fast forward, and his artwork was selling for 5 figures a pop. Manhattan galleries were fighting over his pieces, and wealthy collectors were putting down deposits on paintings that didn't even exist yet. The difference wasn't talent, luck, or connections. It was understanding that you are simultaneously the observer of your reality and the very reality being observed. This isn't metaphysical fluff. This is quantum physics applied to conscious creation. Most folks think manifestation is about grinding harder or keeping positive thoughts 24/7. That's like running on a hamster wheel because it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding. What if instead of trying to attract your desires from some far-off place, you simply learn to recognize which channel of reality you're already tuned into and consciously switched frequencies? But hold up, there's something even wilder about how this actually works. In 1801, physicist Thomas Young conducted an experiment that shattered our understanding of reality forever. He discovered that particles of light behaved completely differently depending on whether they were being observed. When unobserved, electrons existed as waves of infinite possibility. The moment someone observed them, they collapsed into a single fixed position. Think about what this means for your life. Every possibility you've ever dreamed of already exists right now in what physicists call the quantum field. Your consciousness is what collapses these possibilities into your experienced reality. You're not creating something new from nothing. You're selecting from infinite versions that already exist. The question isn't whether you can manifest your desires, but which version of reality you're currently tuned into, and whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. Most people live as unconscious observers, reacting to whatever reality appears before them, never realizing they're the ones selecting it through their habitual patterns of attention. They see lack and automatically tune into more scarcity. They notice problems and unconsciously choose to observe more drama. It's like having the ultimate remote control in your hands, but being totally clueless that you're the one channel surfing through different realities. But here's where things get really interesting. And this might sound completely nuts until you actually experience it firsthand. The great spiritual teacher Jiddu Krishnamurti spent decades pointing to a truth that modern quantum physics has now validated. He observed that the observer is the observed, that there's no separation between the one who sees and what is seen. When you combine this ancient wisdom with quantum mechanics, it becomes the most practical manifestation tool imaginable. When you feel stressed about money, what are you really tuned into? When you worry about relationships, are you dialed into love or the complete absence of it? Here's the game changer. You can't observe something without becoming part of it. Your observation doesn't just watch reality from the sidelines. It actively participates in creating it through what physicists call quantum entanglement. Marcus discovered this when someone asked him a simple question that shifted everything. Which version of reality are you observing right now? He realized he'd been unconsciously tuned into the struggling artist reality where talent goes unrecognized and success belongs to others. The moment he became conscious of his observation patterns, he gained the power to change them. But becoming conscious of your observation is trickier than it sounds because of how deeply embedded these patterns become. Here's how you actually make this shift from unconscious reaction to conscious observation. The first step is recognizing that you are the awareness that witnesses your thoughts, emotions, and internal stories. You are not your mental activity. You are the consciousness observing it. This distinction is crucial because most people are so identified with their thoughts that they never realize there's a space between them and their mental chatter. Right now, notice what's happening in your mind. Thoughts are arising. Perhaps emotions are present. Maybe you're making judgments about what you're hearing. Now here's the key question. Who is the one noticing all of this mental activity? That witness, that aware presence that can observe thoughts without being consumed by them, that's the real you. That's the conscious observer that has the power to choose which reality to experience. When you recognize yourself as the observer, rather than being lost in the observed, you realize that thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "this is too difficult," are just passing phenomena you're witnessing, not fundamental truths about who you are or what's possible. This recognition alone begins to shift your entire relationship with reality. But there's something even more powerful that happens when you understand how your thoughts and emotions function as quantum broadcasting systems. Your thoughts and emotions aren't just random mental events. They're quantum information, constantly broadcasting which version of reality you're tuned into. When you're feeling abundant and expansive, you're observing the reality where abundance flows naturally. When you're feeling limited and reactive, you're observing the reality where struggle is the norm. The external world simply reflects back whatever internal reality you're observing most consistently. This explains why positive thinking alone doesn't work for most people. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if underneath you're observing lack, fear, or unworthiness, that's the reality that will continue to manifest. It's not about forcing positive thoughts. It's about becoming conscious of which reality you're already observing and choosing to observe a different one if the current one isn't serving you. Here's a reality check you can try right now. Pick your biggest money frustration. Maybe it's debt, low income, or expensive bills. Instead of obsessing over the problem, ask yourself, what would the version of me earning $10,000 a month be thinking about this situation right now? Then spend 2 minutes thinking only from that perspective. Notice how different solutions appear when you observe from financial abundance instead of financial stress. This isn't wishful thinking. You're literally tuning into a different quantum reality that already exists. Remember, every possible version of your life already exists in the quantum field. There's a version of you that's financially free, emotionally fulfilled, and living your deepest purpose. These parallel realities exist as surely as you exist right now reading these words. The question is, how do you align with the version of yourself that's already living your dream life? The answer lies in understanding that you don't transform into someone totally new. You simply tune into a different version of yourself that already exists. It's like switching radio stations. All the programs are broadcasting at the same time, and your consciousness is the tuning dial. But here's what most folks miss about this tuning process and why their manifestations often feel forced or fake. What quantum physicists discovered in follow-up experiments to Jung's work was even more mind-blowing. In the delayed choice quantum eraser experiments conducted at Princeton, researchers proved that particles could be influenced retroactively. The decision of whether to observe or not observe affected the particle's behavior even after it had already passed through the apparatus. If particles can be influenced backwards in time by observation, what does that mean for your past financial struggles, relationship patterns, or career limitations? This isn't some feel-good positive psychology. This is recognizing that multiple perspectives of the same situation exist simultaneously in quantum reality and consciously choosing which one to observe. When you observe from your desired outcome, your brain literally starts firing in different neural patterns, your body releases different hormones, and your actions naturally align with that reality frequency. But here's what 99% of manifestation coaches won't tell you because it threatens their business model. Most people fail at conscious creation not because they don't understand the concepts, but because their nervous system is stuck in survival mode. Your body doesn't care about your vision board if it's programmed for struggle. But there's a critical piece that most manifestation teachings completely ignore, and this is probably why so many people struggle to maintain their shifts. Your nervous system and cellular memory hold the frequency of your current reality through years of conditioning and habitual emotional patterns. You might understand quantum observation intellectually, but if your body is still programmed for struggle, fear, or limitation, it will keep pulling you back to observing those realities. Here's the brutal truth about why most people stay stuck. They're addicted to the biochemistry of their current reality. When you've been stressed about money for years, your body becomes chemically dependent on cortisol and adrenaline. When you've been disappointed in relationships repeatedly, your system gets hooked on the familiar cocktail of sadness and resignation. Breaking free requires literally retraining your nervous system to hold different emotions. True transformation happens when you retrain your body to hold the biochemistry of your desired reality. This means consciously generating gratitude for the $50,000 raise before your boss offers it, feeling excited about meeting your soulmate before they walk into your life, embodying confidence in your success before anyone validates it. Most folks wait for their bank account to hit 6 figures so they can finally feel abundant, but quantum observation works completely backwards. You generate the millionaire mindset first, you embody the biochemistry of financial freedom, and then opportunities reorganize around that frequency. It's not about faking confidence until you make it. It's about becoming it before you see it, because your body doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Now here's where things get really interesting, and this might sound like science fiction, but it's actually solid physics. The ancient spiritual traditions understood this process intuitively, though they described it in different language. They knew that meditation wasn't just a relaxation technique. It was training for conscious reality creation. When you meditate, you're strengthening your capacity to observe from a centered place, rather than react from conditioning. You're developing what I call quantum flexibility, the ability to witness thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. This is essential, because true mastery of reality creation comes when you can maintain your chosen observation, regardless of what appears to be happening around you. Marcus noticed the first signs of his quantum shift in subtle but unmistakable ways. People started treating him differently, like they could sense something had shifted in his energy before he even opened his mouth. Gallery owners who used to ghost his emails were suddenly calling him back. Collectors started hunting down his work through connections he'd never even used before. His confidence wasn't something he had to work on anymore. It just became his natural state, because he was tuned into the reality where confidence was who he actually was. The shift accelerated because he had achieved what physicists call coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all aligned with the same reality frequency, you create coherence that amplifies manifestation exponentially. Most people have incoherent patterns. They want abundance but think about bills. They desire love but focus on past hurts. They seek success but observe their current limitations. Coherence means every aspect of your being is observing from the same desired reality. Your thoughts naturally align with your vision, your emotions naturally generate excitement, your actions naturally support your goals, and your body naturally holds the frequency of success. When all these elements are aligned, you become what quantum physicists would call a coherent system, and coherent systems have power that seems almost supernatural. But achieving this coherence requires something that makes many people uncomfortable, and this is often where people get stuck even when they understand the principles perfectly. Quantum observation requires you to let go of your attachment to your current identity. Most people want to change their circumstances while staying exactly who they are. They want abundance without releasing their identity as someone who struggles with money. They want love without releasing their identity as someone who's been hurt before. They want success without releasing their identity as someone who's not quite there yet. But here's the thing about quantum realities. Each version requires a different identity to sustain it. The version of you that already lives your dream life has different beliefs, different emotional patterns, different ways of making decisions, and fundamentally different ways of observing reality. To access that version, you must be willing to release your attachment to who you currently think you are. This isn't about rejecting yourself. It's about recognizing that your current identity is just one possibility among infinite others. Marcus had to let go of his identity as the struggling artist whose work wasn't valued. This was challenging because struggle had become familiar, even comfortable in its predictability. Stepping into the identity of someone whose art was naturally sought after felt foreign initially. But every time he chose to observe from this new identity, it became more natural and authentic, because it was actually more aligned with his true potential. The beautiful paradox is that as you release your limited identity, you don't lose yourself. You find your authentic self. The struggling version was never the real Marcus. It was a conditioned identity based on past experiences and limiting beliefs. The successful, confident, abundant version was actually more aligned with who he naturally was underneath all the conditioning. This understanding completely transforms how you approach personal development. Instead of trying to fix what's wrong with you or work on your weaknesses, you simply tune into the version of yourself that already embodies everything you desire. That version doesn't have problems to solve. It has opportunities to explore. That version doesn't have limitations to overcome. It has infinite potential to express. When you observe from this expanded identity, what used to seem like insurmountable obstacles become stepping stones for growth. What used to trigger fear becomes fuel for creativity. What used to feel impossible starts feeling inevitable because you're observing from the reality where it's already happening naturally. The quantum field operates without any distinction between what you call possible and impossible. It simply responds to the frequency of your observation with mathematical precision. If you observe limitation, it provides more evidence of limitation. If you observe possibility, it reveals infinite pathways for manifestation. The field is completely neutral. It doesn't judge your choices or try to convince you of anything. It simply mirrors back whatever you're consistently observing. This is both completely liberating and absolutely responsibility-inducing. You have total freedom to choose which reality to observe, but you're also entirely responsible for whatever you're experiencing because it's reflecting your habitual observation patterns. Most people resist this level of responsibility because they'd rather believe they're victims of circumstances beyond their control. But once you fully embrace this responsibility, you realize you have more creative power than you ever imagined possible. You're not at the mercy of external conditions, economic situations, other people's moods, or random events. You're the conscious observer who gets to choose how to experience and respond to everything that appears in your reality. The mastery comes in maintaining this conscious observation consistently, especially when external appearances seem to contradict your desired reality. This is where most people falter, and it's completely understandable because the old reality doesn't disappear immediately when you shift your observation. When Marcus first started applying these principles, galleries weren't blowing up his phone overnight, collectors weren't throwing money at him instantly, and his bank account didn't magically transform. There's always a lag time between shifting your internal observation and seeing results in the physical world. This interim period is where most people bail out and conclude the principles don't work. But here's what separates the 1% who actually transform their reality from the 99% who give up. They understand that quantum observation isn't some mystical shortcut that bypasses natural processes. It's aligning your consciousness with desired outcomes and allowing them to unfold through whatever means the universe provides. Sometimes manifestation is rapid and dramatic. Sometimes it's gradual and organic. The key is maintaining your observation of the desired reality when everything around you seems to contradict it. This requires what I call quantum persistence, the ability to keep observing your desired reality even when your credit card gets declined, even when the person you're interested in doesn't text back, even when your boss passes you over for another promotion. During this testing period, your unwavering commitment to conscious observation is what determines whether your new reality solidifies or dissolves back into old patterns. Instead of seeing gallery rejections as proof he wasn't good enough, Marcus started interpreting them as course corrections toward better aligned opportunities. When unexpected expenses hit his credit card, instead of spiraling into financial anxiety, he observed these moments as tests of his commitment to abundance consciousness. This perspective shift wasn't just positive thinking, it was choosing which quantum reality to participate in, moment by moment. This perspective shift changed everything about how challenges affected his manifestation process. Instead of derailing his confidence, obstacles became confirmations that he was moving in the right direction. Instead of triggering doubt about his worthiness, setbacks became opportunities to strengthen his faith in the quantum principles he was applying. The quantum secret has been hiding in plain sight for over a century in physics laboratories and for thousands of years in spiritual teachings. The secret is recognizing that you are the observer and the observed, the creator and the creation, the dreamer and the dream. When you truly understand this, not just intellectually but experientially, everything about your relationship with reality shifts fundamentally. You stop trying to force outcomes through effort and start allowing them to emerge naturally from aligned observation. You stop believing in fixed limitations and start exploring infinite possibility. You stop reacting to circumstances from past conditioning and start responding from your desired future reality. You stop being a passive victim of conditions and start being the conscious creator of your experience. This isn't about achieving perfection or never encountering challenges. It's about maintaining your center as the conscious observer regardless of what's appearing in your external world. It's about remembering your power to choose which reality to observe, especially when everything around you seems to suggest you have no choice. The moment you fully embody this understanding, you realize you've never actually been separate from what you desire. The abundance, love, success, and fulfillment you've been seeking have been seeking you with equal intensity. The observer and the observed are one unified field of consciousness, and in that recognition, all sense of separation dissolves into infinite creative potential. Your new reality isn't coming to you from somewhere else. It's here now, existing in the quantum field, waiting for you to observe it into your physical experience. Every moment offers you the opportunity to choose which version of reality to participate in consciously. The version where you're struggling or the version where you're thriving. The version where success is difficult, or the version where success flows naturally through you. The quantum secret is now yours, not as information to be stored in your mind, but as living truth to be embodied in your entire being. You are the observer, you are the observed, and in your conscious observation lies the key to infinite manifestation. The only question that remains is, which reality will you choose to observe from this moment forward? If this awakened something profound within your consciousness, if you felt the old reality of limitation beginning to dissolve as you recognized your true power as the conscious observer of your experience, write these words in the comments. I choose my reality. Let this declaration be your commitment to never again forgetting who you really are and what you're truly capable of creating when you observe consciously.